All right, so let's take a few minutes to talk about Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt, and I feel like there's quite a few things to talk about in this fight. Quite a few things happened, a few things that were surprising, a few things that were not so surprising. Um, Starting things off, the two fights I'm gonna showcase right here. I'm not gonna do. There's no commentary to them. I'm just gonna talk. I'm gonna talk about the actual fight, and you guys can watch the fight in the background, or you can just listen to me talk. Depends. I know some of you like to just listen to me talk in the background, but Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. It was a very interesting fight going in. I think the most interesting part was what version of Cody is going to show up, right? Because the truth of the matter is, we know that Cody Garbrandt is his absolute best when he's not being overly aggressive, he's not being reckless, he's being a little bit careful, he's being smart with his shot selection, his defense is very good, his movement is good, head movement is all good. Just essentially when he's fighting like a professional fighter as opposed to fighting like a brawler, right? And we saw his performance against Dominic Cruz, and in my opinion, I think that is one of the best performances we've seen in the UFC, period. Not just in terms of Cody Garbrandt. I think just period, that's one of the best performances we've ever seen, especially when you consider who Cody was fighting. You know, going into that fight, a vast majority of people, including myself, kind of looked at Cody as this guy that's kind of like a knucklehead, kind of like a meathead fighter, especially coming from Team Alpha Male, where all those guys are just a little bit nuts. So, you know, meanwhile, you look at Dominic as a cerebral, smart fighter, who a thinking man, you know, who goes in the octagon and very analytical with his approach to mixed martial arts. So that's how you think about Dominic Cruz. Meanwhile, Cody, on the other hand, is supposed to be this brawler that's going to try to go in there and try to knock Dominic's head. Basically, what we thought was going to happen was Cody's going to go out there, swing for the fences, miss over and over and over and over and over again, and get outclassed by Dominic Cruz. That's what we thought was going to happen. But then when the fight, of course, started off, the complete opposite happened. Cody came out there very cerebral, very, very patient. There were moments in the fight where, of course, he was wild. You know, he occasionally will throw wild combinations. He did lose a few rounds. It wasn't like a complete shutdown of a performance. But it wasn't the Cody that we all expected to see. It was a much better version of Cody Garbrandt. Much better version. I mean, it got to a point where he was able to make Dominic Cruz miss. I mean, he was the one making Cruz miss the whole entire time. You know, Dominic, Cody showed a lot better footwork than Dominic Cruz in that fight. And all of it was just a huge surprise. So that's the absolute best version that we've seen of Cody. That's the best version of him that we've seen. And then we see him against TJ Dillashaw twice, where he fights in the complete opposite way that he fought against Dominic and gets KO'd. Stopped twice. And so essentially against Rob Font, the logic is if he's to give himself the absolute best chance to win this fight, he needs to come in the same way that he did against Dominic Cruz. He needs to respect his opponent. Even though he's extremely fast and extremely powerful, he can't just come into the fight and bank on that completely. You know, he's got to understand that he's facing another trained mixed martial artist, and they can absolutely hurt him. And so that's the version that we all hope to see. And let's be honest, that is the exact version that we saw. Now, looking at the fight, I would say maybe he was a little bit too careful. Maybe, because in rounds number 5, round number 4 at some points, we kind of saw the old Cody back a little bit. And when he brought out that dog in him, there was a little bit of success. So maybe there's something to be said about finding a good balance. So maybe the best case for Cody is not going to be too careful, you know, overly cautious, overly cerebral, overly analytical. Maybe that's not the game for Cody. Maybe the game for Cody Garbrandt is somewhere in between, where you're still cerebral, you're still analytical, you're still very careful, you're being very technical, but you also know when to step on the gas and get going. Because against Rob Font, man, what we saw was a Cody that was just mostly backing up the whole entire time. Sorry about that, phone ringing. A Cody that was backing up the whole entire time, getting hit with jabs over and over and over again. And of course, we see the same narrative back in MMA, the jab. the jab. We're starting to see a lot of fighters winning fights with just the jab. And in this fight, that's what Rob Font was doing. Beautiful jabs, backing him up, landing clean jabs. Occasionally he would throw in a right hand in there. And in the early rounds, if there was a little bit of worry if you're a Rob Font fan that he was going to be out wrestled in this one, because I mean the takedowns were coming. Cody was able to take him down repeatedly, and the takedowns were fairly easy. I mean, he wasn't really struggling to get those takedowns early on. But as the fight went on, Rob Font, his takedown defense just got better. Could also be because Cody was starting to get tired. I mean, you could definitely tell from his posture, the way he was moving, that he was getting a little bit tired. Not completely gassed. He still had some wind in the tank, but he was clearly getting tired. And those takedown shots were getting a little bit more labored as time passed, and so Rob was able to defend him. But the thought was, man, is it gonna be a situation where Cody is just gonna take this dude down over and over again and win maybe a boring decision, right? Because clearly on the feet there was a clear dominant fighter right there. There really was. The clear dominant fighter on the feet was Rob Font. Beautiful jabs, beautiful striking, very good pressure, and I think the biggest thing, a big reason, is I knocked this dude dead. I think a big reason why Rob Font was able to do what he was doing was he had a very good chin. Really good chin. I mean, Cody was able to hit him with some beautiful pull twos. Cody landed some nice jabs of his own, landed some good left hooks of his own, but none of those shots really seemed to faze Rob Font, and that probably gave him the confidence to keep moving forward, keep advancing, knowing that even when Cody is able to counter him, he's able to take that. And being able to defend those takedowns also added to his confidence. As this fight is going to come to an end right here, and we are going to get to fight number 2. Fight number 2 is against TJ Dillashaw. But yeah, man, I think on the topic of chin, I was also very impressed with Cody Garbrandt's chin. I really was. Because a huge narrative is that he's very chinny, and perhaps there is some evidence to that. You know what I mean? I mean, he has been KO'd a few times. Then again, when we take a look at the people that have knocked him out, it's not like he's being knocked out by pillow punchers. You know what I mean? He's been knocked out by guys that know how to knock out people. So it's not like I suppose maybe that wasn't fair to have that narrative attached to Cody, that he's has a bad chin. Perhaps he never really had a bad chin. He was just, you get hit properly by TJ Dillashaw, regardless of who you are, you go out. You know what I mean? But in this fight against Rob, Cody definitely showed that his chin can hold up, because he was hit. He was hit repeatedly, over and over and over again, and a lot of those shots were hard, were heavy. A lot of those shots were very, very heavy, and he was able to withstand those shots. He was able to eat the jabs over and over again, and the moments that he was actually like rocked or stunned a little bit, he was able to recover really fast, which of course also goes to show, one, his experience, because old Cody, the moment you hurt him, he bites on the mouthpiece and goes at you, and that's usually how he ends up getting KO'd. The moment you hurt him, he bites on the mouthpiece and loses his mind. He leaves himself open and gets KO'd, but he wasn't doing that. Once he got hit, he got on his bicycle, started moving, staying out of the way. It's like, blast this TJ to the body and sit him down. But yeah, his chin definitely held up. I definitely thought at some point that he was going to get finished. It was really looking like he was going to get finished in that fight. But he didn't. He was able to survive. I think I got this man out of there right there. But yeah, really good fight. Definitely enjoyed the fight. I thought both fighters, they came to fight. They really came to perform. The better man definitely won. Rob Font, he rose to the occasion to walk down Cody the way that he did. Not many fighters in MMA can do that, and he definitely did that, so he deserves all the props in the world. Very curious to see what's next for Cody. We'll probably see him in there against someone like Sean O'Malley. They've been flapping gums at each other lately, so it's very possible we'll see him in there against Sean O'Malley. We'll see. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about the fight. What do you think about Cody's performance? What do you think about Rob Font's performance? Let me know in the comments. And I will see you guys later with a brand new one. As always, stay safe. Peace out.